Have you ever started doing something just for fun, but then immediately started to think, how could I turn this into a business? Well, if so, you are not alone. You're what I like to call a serial entrepreneur or a multi-passionate entrepreneur, and you're in good company here with me. But today, I want to talk to both of us about what I've been learning about how important it is to focus your intention and, more importantly, to protect your energy. But before we dive into this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a tutorial or upload. Okay, in case you felt a little bit attacked by the opening here, I'm just gonna share with you, I'll link it up above, a video, a short that I did a while ago when there was that trend going around of the and it was like all the stereotypical things. I included this concept in that video for a reason. One, because I know there are a lot of people out there who do it and because it's funny, but also because it's totally me. So it felt very natural for me to include that in the video. But I want to talk about what I've been learning about how important it is to kind of fight those urges, or at least be really super intentional about the times when you listen to that voice and the times when you don't. Okay, so just to share a personal story, an example of just one of the times that I found myself falling into this trap. A couple of years ago, when like the Cricuts were all the rage, of course I wanted one. And I got one for Christmas and I was super excited and I immediately started making stuff and it was super fun for me to just let that creativity out. I made a bunch of stuff early on. And yeah, immediately I started thinking, ooh, I could turn this into merch, right? Like, and this was before my channel was even really, I mean, it existed, I think, but it was like, I was way too early to be even thinking about merch. But it's like, it's part of the entrepreneurial brain, right? That we immediately start to think, well, how could I monetize that? How could I make money? Should I create a new business with that? Could I add that into my business? All that stuff. And I was really enjoying making this stuff. So I thought, yeah, that'd be super fun. But here's the thing, it is completely not scalable and also has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of my business, which means that even though I was trying to make it like a branded merch kind of thing and thus force it into my business, really it was like a completely separate thing, which would have required a completely separate business, really, on the back end at least. And that would have completely split my focus. Not to mention the fact that while I enjoyed doing the Cricut stuff, I wasn't like amazing at it. And so I wasn't fast at it. So doing that kind of thing, if I had actually tried to make that, sell it for merch, it would have taken me forever and it would have taken away from the primary business. Okay. So luckily I figured that out before I started trying to do anything too major there. And now I would be ashamed to show you, and I keep pointing over there because this is where it lives in my office, but I would be ashamed to show you what that table looks like because I couldn't use the Cricut right now if I wanted to. It's like covered in stuff. And honestly, like the fun of creating items using the Cricut kind of started to fade for me because I started to envision what it would look like if I had to fulfill orders that way and just how time consuming and stressful and like how much I would have, I don't want to say dreaded, but yeah, maybe dreaded a little bit doing it, even though it was something that was so fun for me when I first started. And that's kind of the key of what I want to talk about here in this episode. So to backtrack for just a minute, I want to talk about how this happens to us. Now, yeah, there's this automatic kind of trigger in the entrepreneur brain, I'm convinced, that makes us see a business in like everything, right? And even as a business mentor, I know that I encourage people to start or spin off separate businesses because I saw them being passionate about something new and like they were losing a little of the passion of what they were already doing. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, follow your passion. And that's a really dangerous business plan. I'm rolling that back now. I'm cycling it back. Don't follow your passion. Let's talk about that. But in this online business world, it is so easy to monetize things now that we forget that it's not just about putting a paywall in front of something that makes a business. There's so much more that happens behind the scenes to truly have a business. And so we need to think that through all the way before we start trying to put paywalls on things. Not to mention the fact that if we turn everything into a business, we are absolutely at risk for burnout. We risk the very real possibility of losing the joy that we feel when we do that thing because we've now turned it into an obligation. And we start just looking at everything like something that can or should be optimized or leveraged in our business or whatever. I mean, just think, for example, about artists who are just so passionate about painting or drawing or whatever it is that they do. And the second that it becomes their business becomes their way of supporting themselves, it starts to become an obligation and their creativity is completely stifled. You can apply that across the board. Even if what you do isn't considered art or whatever, it's still utilizing your creativity. So when you turn that into an obligation, it can absolutely pull the joy right out of it. So here's a couple of key truths that I want us to focus on in this episode. Number one being that not everything that you're good at is meant to be a business. And number two, just because you can make money from something doesn't mean you should. So when I was researching for this episode, I found a quote from a book that I have never read, but now this is always the danger of me researching quotes for these episodes because now my to-read list is just getting so long. It's a good thing that I have the Success Through Community podcast where I can use those books. But the quote that I want to bring into this is from Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear, and it's by Elizabeth Gilbert. And she's talking about what happens when you take your creativity, your joy, and you turn it into an obligation. And she says, but to yell at your creativity saying, you must earn money for me, sort of like yelling at a cat. It has no idea what you're talking about, and all you're doing is scaring it away. And I love this because it's so like vivid and like tangible. Like I can literally feel what she's saying. I can see. Now, I'm not a cat person, I'm a dog person, you guys know that, but I can see literally creativity in the form of a cat or a dog. And just, yeah, when you yell at it, it just disappears. You can't catch it. You guys know I have a puppy right now. He's about 6 months old. And when he wants to run away from you, good luck catching him. He is super fast. And I'm guessing cats are the same way. So if you take that analogy, you put your creativity in the place of that cat or that puppy, that just as soon as you start yelling at it and saying, you need to make money for me, you need to show up and be here when I need you. Well, yeah, I mean, I can imagine it just like running away and being completely elusive. You risk a whole lot there. You risk a business that's going to fail. You risk losing your joy in things that you love and total burnout. So I want to talk about a couple of ways that you might be able to tell if you are trying to monetize something or turn something into a business out of the wrong reasons, out of pressure, not out of intention or purpose. So the first thing is that you've started to dread doing it. Just like I was talking about with the Cricut, when that becomes not a fun thing and just like an obligatory or oh, I have to do whatever, well, then that might be a sign that you're monetizing or turning it into a business for the wrong reasons. Because I got to tell you, like, yeah, there are still going to be days in your business where you aren't feeling it. You're tired or you're just worn out or whatever, and you just don't feel it. But at the same time, once you get into it, maybe it's a client session or whatever, suddenly your energy starts to rise because it is being done for the right reasons and you fought past that tired or whatever. Like that's reality. You're going to sometimes feel that way. But if every time you go into it and you're dreading it and then when you make yourself do it, you're not getting an energy boost, I kind of see that as a pretty clear sign that you're monetizing for the wrong reasons. Second thing would be if you start to feel guilty if you do that thing just for fun. You're not making money from it. You're not getting anything out of it. It's not feeding your business. You're feeling guilty about that. Then that is a very clear sign that you're monetizing for the wrong reasons. And then the third thing, this one is maybe a little bit nuanced. This kind of goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. If when you start doing something and enjoying it, you immediately wonder like, ooh, would someone pay me for this? Like, look, we can't control when that thought pops into our minds. Like it absolutely pops into my mind all the time when I'm doing something new or a different aspect. For example, just this week, I started diving into make.com, which is like an alternative to Zapier. It's a way to connect this system with this system, but Make is a little bit more technical. It's not so easy drag and drop like Zapier is. And so it's a little more complicated, but it comes with the benefits of you get more in their free level than you do in Zapier. And so immediately as I started learning and figuring out how to do it, I was enjoying it because I'm a nerd and I'm techie. And so when I see stuff like that come together and I'm learning something new, I get excited about it. And immediately my brain went to, well, I know that you can create these automations and download a blueprint. I wonder if I could sell the blueprint. This is where my brain goes. And now this is one of those things that it does tie into and it does relate to my business. So it becomes one of those situations where I really have to step back and look at it and say, okay, if I added this into my business as something that I sell or something like that, is this going to enhance my business or is it going to take away? And the reality is for me right now, I'm recognizing that I'm still learning like I'm just barely learning how to do it. And it can be really complicated. So for me to start including that or adding that as something that I offer in my business would take a lot of my time and focus because I wouldn't be able to just quickly spin out a new workflow scenario or whatever. It would take me a lot of time to do it. So that to me was like, okay, yes, the initial thought came into my mind. That is normal. But then I stopped and I evaluated and I was like, maybe someday down the line when this becomes easy for me and I see how it fits into how I serve my existing clients, but it is not something that I'm going to turn into another revenue stream. So you see what I'm saying? Like that thought is going to come up in your mind, but like this is how you address it in that moment. You stop and you evaluate and you look at, is this an enhancement or is this going to take me away, take my focus away from my core business? So let's talk about the value of hobbies, really, the value of those non-monetized things that we enjoy doing in our lives, just in case you need it, because I know sometimes I do. This is me giving you permission to just let that passion, let that thing that you love doing, just be that. Be something that you love doing. Be that creative outlet. Be that thing that allows you to hold on to stay connected to who you are outside of your business, because we need those things. I mean, being an entrepreneur is a big part of who we are, but it is not the only part of who we are. And we need to make sure that we are protecting those spaces, just like we protect our time with family and friends and draw those boundaries, right? Same thing between hobbies and business. Not everything that is a hobby needs to or should become a part of your business. Sometimes we just need that creative outlet as our own kind of therapy, right? It's good for our mental health. It helps to spark joy and to just replenish the energy that naturally gets depleted by being a business owner. So examples here like journaling or knitting, crocheting, cross stitch, singing, coding. See, it's not all like art forms. Sometimes it can be something that's a little more practical, a little more technical, but it's still your creativity. Photography, painting, not everything that you love doing or are good at needs to have a price tag. So let's reframe how we look at this for a second. Let's take these hobbies, these things that we love, and approach them from a different perspective other than that entrepreneur lens. Think about how those gifts, those hobbies can serve you, like we were talking about with your mental health and just replenishing energy and all that, and how they can help you serve and support others without you feeling like you need to scale. Be focused on the alignment of how that helps you to become more holistically who you are, and stop focusing on monetization for everything. When you look at this thing, this hobby that you love to do, ask yourself, is this truly meant to be a business or is this meant to nourish and replenish me? Now, something we haven't been doing lately at the end of the episodes, but I'm going to do it again this week, is to challenge you with something. So I want you to stop and look right now at one thing that you are trying to monetize, but maybe it's making you lose your joy for it. And ask yourself, can you give yourself permission to just reclaim it, let it be a hobby, and just let yourself enjoy it, even if just for a little while? Stop trying to monetize it. Stop trying to force it into a business. Just enjoy it again. Let me know what you come up with in the comments. And after you've done that for a little while, come back and let us know how it felt to reclaim that as your own. I hope you liked that video, and more importantly, that you found it helpful. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel and sharing it with a fellow solopreneur. And make sure you check out the description for links to how we can connect and maybe even work together.